Solange Moujin joins me on the set for today's press review. Hi, Solange.
Hi, Jeannie.
Lots of happy Senegalese football fans today after Senegal beat Egypt in the final of the Africa Cup of Nations.
Yeah, there is much joy and celebration in the paper today over Senegal's first AFCON win. They did it. That is how Le Soleil, the Senegalese paper, begins its article about the high-drama final. It is a win, the paper reminds us, that is all the sweeter because Senegal had lost in the finals twice before, but this time their player, Sadio Mane, he managed to make up for an earlier missed penalty and kicked it in for the goal that made all the difference. For Jeune Afrique, the match came down to Senegal having what they see as a superior physical and mental technique during the penalty kick phase. Naturally, as we see on the front page of the Egyptian paper, El Masri El Youm, the loss was a blow for the Pharaohs, who were hoping to win their 8th title. But Egypt's team, the paper says, played with honor. Now, for the New York Times, the whole tournament was a gift of solidarity and joy, where fans, in some cases, got to forget about political upheaval, COVID hardships, and in some cases sectarian violence, and instead they roared all together to celebrate the power of football.
Or soccer, as we call it in America. All right, let's stay with the sports theme, where the French sports daily L'Équipe got an exclusive interview with Chinese tennis star Peng Shuai.
Yeah, this is the first time that the 3-time Olympian tennis player has actually spoken to a foreign independent paper since she posted on social media last November that a top Communist Party leader had coerced her into sex, after which we all know she wasn't seen for weeks, creating widespread concern over her welfare. Well, now the tennis star says that the global attention to her case was, quote, a huge misunderstanding from the outside world, end quote, and that she never actually accused, she says, anyone of sexually assaulting her. A reversal that pushed the French paper L'Équipe to write a sort of preface to their interview with L'Équipe saying that it knows full well the, quote, limits and constraints that she is subjected to in regard to what she can say.
All right, some political news now, Solange. Emmanuel Macron, the French president, is meeting today with Vladimir Putin in Moscow.
Yeah, first to Moscow, then to Kiev. Can peace be saved? Can Emmanuel Macron be the one to do it? Those are the questions that Le Parisien is asking today, as worldwide attention is on the French president to see if he can deliver in de-escalating the crisis in Ukraine. But for L'Opinion, the fact that Macron is going alone is a bad thing. The paper argues that if Europe wants to be considered a unified geopolitical force, it should have sent multiple EU leaders. Nonetheless, for Macron, it is a risky challenge. Politico.eu writes that on the one hand, if he does deliver, it could be great for his stature, especially with the upcoming presidential elections. But on the other hand, Politico says that Macron could come off as naive or weak, as he's already hinted that Europe may have to make some concessions to Putin. For Politico, Macron has long been wooing the Russian president without Russia having, quote, paid the political dividends, end quote. All the same, as Coco draws in a cartoon for Libération, Macron's mission is clear: to ask Putin to de-escalate or to climb down from the rock that is Ukraine.
Solange, we're going to shift gears now from the political to the heartbreaking in Morocco, where the young boy, Ryan's being laid to rest today.
Yeah, there are a number of cartoons paying tribute to the 5-year-old who lost his life after falling into a well. As we can see in an illustration by Mohamed Elko, the entire nation of Morocco is bidding goodbye to him. As we see in a cartoon on the site of Hair Press, the globe is now crying his loss, with so many of us hoping that he would survive the accident. Now, both of these cartoons are from Morocco, and while they aren't necessarily political, they are part of a growing trend of cartoonists covering difficult issues. And Le Temps has a very interesting article from this weekend about how cartoons are filling a censorship void in many African nations. With each country having its own limits, the paper describes how, for example, following the coup in Burkina Faso, cartoonists were given more reign, more freedom than in print and TV. Or as we see in the article on the top cartoon, in the article's top cartoon by Odia, which is covering the Me Too movement in Senegal, illustrations and satire are often a less threatening means of covering taboo subjects like abuses of power and sexism.
All right, this last story that we can see there, Solange, is completely different. Something about keeping it up?
Yes, indeed. Le Monde has published a tribute of sorts to premature ejaculation. It's the blushing time of this press review. The columnist, Maya Mazurette, she argues that there's so much attention being paid to men keeping it up for as long as possible that it creates in some men a false view of virility. And she writes, with statistics to prove it, that many women aren't fans of long encounters, she says. Rather, in a world where speed is paramount, she writes that being quick in bed can be a good thing too, and that men need to give themselves, she says, a bit of slack.
There's so much to say about that, but I think we'll take that off set. So, yes. All right, thank you so much for that look at today's papers. Solange Moujin with your press review.